Good morning and welcome back to the Rhine Report. Today's discussion is about our evolution into a police and surveillance state. Two factors have been most central to the destruction of our democratic administrative state and its evolution into the present police state. That's right, I said police state. This rather unique police state and its amalgam of extremist, diverse political, economic, and social interests joined in the shadows at the hip to the present configuration of this state is clearly vindictive, malicious, and right-wing, fascistic, racist, and power mad. That sure is a mouthful. And it also follows the 2025 playbook in shredding our Constitution and rule of law. These two factors are demonstrated by one, the extraordinary and unconstitutional decisions made in a maelstrom of individual cases culminating in the now infamous Trump versus the United States, where on July 1, 2024, the court ruled in a 6-3 fascist-driven decision that presidents have absolute immunity for acts committed as president within their core constitutional purview, at least presumptive immunity for official acts within the outer perimeter of their official responsibility, and perhaps no immunity for unofficial acts, however they might yet be defined. The second factor is the sad fact that 77 million voters backed Trumpism and fascist interests, electing a functional psychopath, sociopath, convicted felon, and sexual predator as a second-time president, now unconstrained thanks to the court and determined to wreak havoc within our social, political, economic, and judicial order, and doing so with vitriol and malicious intent that boggles the imagination. No doubt that in itself demands a complete psychiatric examination of the multitudes of sick and disparate personalities with predispositions to accept, embrace, and endorse rather insane ideas contrary to their own self-interest and a bizarre need to be led by a demonic madman. Now, where I see this as a problem almost of mass psychosis based on various predispositions, Noam Chomsky, in his Requiem for the American Dream and other writings, discusses all this in distinctly moral and ethical terms, from problems deliberately constructed by ruling elites within our neoliberal age, where power is spectacle and reasonable behavior is no longer acceptable or attractive based on any universal conception of the common good, wherein Trump and Trumpism is or are symbols rather than causes of the compulsions and distortions expressed by the vast majority of voters who elected Trump to the presidency. Also, there is an undiscussed third factor, which is expressed by the appalling non response from Joseph Biden and Merrick Garland as AG, while there was both time and opportunity to prevent what has taken place based on weak minded liberalism, timidity, reliance on perceptions rather than facts and actions that might have been viewed as draconian but could have forestalled the fall of democracy. They will go down in history as passive traitors to democracy, should American history still exist at all, other than as a ghostly shroud. Leaving aside the pointless implications of the Epstein files, a distraction, however interesting from a psychological perspective relative to the Trump camp followers, noting that it will have exactly no impact on his position of power and authority at the end of the day, we do need to address the lawless creation of virtual Gestapo units that give rise to our description of America as a nouveau police state. Trump, through the Department of Homeland Security and ICE, has created an extrajudicial police force, one seemingly unconstrained by the normal conventions, rules, and accountability demanded by our democracy for local and federal law enforcement agencies, thus replicating the Nazi model of SS and Gestapo units which terrorized the population in Germany. Arriving in unmarked cars into public areas, masked, without identification, in battle gear, and absent proper judicial warrants or probable cause, racially profiling, arresting, detaining, and deporting without due process anyone they believe is an illegal immigrant. They hide behind subset immigration laws that have become presumptively unconstitutional, granting them such powers. And although, however horrific, ICE is targeting only Latino immigrants at the moment, their powers give them the latitude to arrest almost anyone under the auspices of immigration law who, once sent into the system, even if by so called mistake, can and will be lost forever and even imprisoned in foreign and domestic concentration camps without due process and accountability. Further, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has gained access to Medicaid recipient data, including addresses and other personally identifiable information, as part of an agreement with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. And this agreement ostensibly allows ICE to track down immigrants who may be in the country illegally. Fine, as it appears, but not fine because it is clearly an unconstitutional invasion of the privacy of 79 million innocent Americans. ICE may access some Social Security information in specific cases for investigations, such as one verifying someone's identity or immigration status. And despite the safeguards in place, there are obvious ongoing concerns about the potential for the misuse of this data and the need for continued oversight and transparency in the sharing of information between government agencies. Big Brother may be watching you. Also, the FBI is now assisting ICE with immigration enforcement. Though it's a relatively recent development driven by policy shifts and resource allocation within the Justice Department. The FBI has been reorienting some of its resources needed to fight terrorism and other major crimes to support ICE operations, including providing personnel and resources for immigration raids and so-called investigations. Further, DOGE, the so-called Department of Governmental Efficiency, already a controversial government entity created only by executive order, has been granted broad access to sensitive personal information held by various federal agencies. This access includes, but is not limited to, tax records, Social Security information, financial data, and healthcare information. As I've expressed above, the extent of DOGE's access and the potential for misuse of this data have raised significant privacy concerns and legal challenges. Lastly, for today, our streets are now attacked by military force in contravention and violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, as we see from California and other states. Now we have military, National Guard, and federal troops in the streets. So if this isn't the beginning of a police state, you tell me what it might be. Thank you.